when you guys were talking to me about the VAs and those opportunities, not every missionary, when they just get to the field, they're trying to figure out where they are, who they are, will their marriage survive? Will their kids, eat the fish heads, and the chicken feet and things like that. And thankfully my
Or the
kids,
balloon.
yeah,
Baloo.
the balut,
Uh,
my kids actually prefer dried fish to like potato chips. It's kind of sickening to me, but they've taken it to a new level.
uh-huh.
But you know, as we've been on the field, and like particularly in the Philippines where it's hard to encourage leadership or pioneerings or skills, to let people know that it's okay to lead and to have an opinion. That's very challenging, but we do have leaders that we work with, and we've seen students grow up through the School of Ministry. But now with this VA idea, I really like it because it's helping me. I don't necessarily have to pay local staff to do it. Not that I'm unwilling to do that, but it's kind of like already trained people that we can find who can help us with some minuscule task. We've got to think missions outside of everything being on our shoulders. And to me, that has there's a part of that I'm not going to say I necessarily was liking, but it was a part that I know I had to learn, without that being on your shoulders. But as we go, and even talking with you guys, realizing there's a lot of things that I'm doing that I don't have to do. And if I freed myself up more, it really would make a big difference. We have like 4 social media pages on Facebook besides our personal ones. We have Fire School Ministry, we have the feeding program, we have Found Treasures, and we have the Devout House of Prayer, which we really haven't been as active on as we'd like to. But that's part of it, is there's some things get overlooked that I don't want overlooked. And there's other things that I really enjoy and could do every single day, but I know I have to focus on these other things. But anyway,
Yes.
I think for me, it's becoming a little bit more clear of what we're truly trying to help people with is this overwhelm. When you're overwhelmed, things will get missed. So we're just trying to help you with the overwhelm to like make sure everything is at least getting done. Then as soon as we free up your time and get you your time back, then we're trying to help you level up and then dream. And I see it almost as like we're kind of hitting you from both angles. Like we can't just come and say, hey, we want to give you more ideas. We want to help you dream. If you're already overwhelmed, you're like, great, thank you. But I don't already have time to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing right now. So none of that was helpful. But coming pre and going like, hey, you're doing all these things. You're doing social media, you're making the newsletter, you're doing all that stuff. That's not for you to do. Like, let us take that off your plate so that frees up your time to do what you are supposed to be doing and what you're called to do. All this other stuff that you were doing at a low level, we should be able to help you level up. And now that you have your time back, let's go to the next step. What is the dream piece of it? I think just going and sitting down and talking to you at that Starbucks was like, it's coming clear now. Ryan has the ability to ask these questions and I can see it work, but I never really keyed in on like which one of those questions kinds of positions it. Because I think when people come and they're overwhelmed, just through Ryan asking questions, it's like you can kind of see them change. Like, oh, I might not have to do that. Oh, it could hit the level that I'm dropping the ball over here. We could actually get that done. Oh, and then, oh, here's the dream piece. It's just like, it's fun to watch that conversation where Ryan has that. And I'm just trying to go, okay, instead of it just being random every time, how do we systematically go about this? And then like, instead of it just being talk, how do we put it into action? So I think with you and some other people that we're doing with it, I'm seeing these pieces and I go, here's where we can do this to really help them. We have the conversation, Ryan does the conversation. Then as soon as the conversation ends, instead of just like, you're on your own now, they're going to have to be follow-up conversations. But in those follow-up conversations, it's like we just pick these pieces and go, okay, the newsletter, let's take that off your plate. Where's the starting point for this? And then let's work you through. Because I would love, this is recorded on September 2nd, 2020. 2022. I would love in like a year, 2, 5, 10 to be in the Philippines, standing on the basketball court, you pointing out your house, saying all the things that we're doing. This is how many kids you're feeding. Like,
Come on.
that to me is the dream of this. I know we could do a lot of these first parts because we're already doing them. The dream conversations we've been having with people, we just haven't had enough time to bring them into fruition. But I see it coming because we already are helping you move in that direction. What's stopping you from going to the dream section? It's seems custom fit to you. You have all the connections and everything. It just seems like you weren't able to put all the pieces together. But we want to help you with any pain points or walls that you run into. I feel like we and our network should be able to help you get over that stuff to accomplish that big dream. And I would love to be able to record this
an
to
analogy.
do that.
We need to think of an analogy of this surviving, not thriving, like taking them, like it reminds me of the person who's working several jobs just to try to pay the bills. They're not thinking of, investing their money. They're not, and this may not be the best analogy, but it's essentially the same thing. They're just trying to pay the bills. They can't even imagine 20 years from now and having money to leave their kids. They're not thinking that way because they're stuck just paying their bills and making ends meet, barely even making ends meet. Their heads, maybe it's a person like their heads above, right here above water, and we need to get them out of that into the boat to where they're actually having fun and they're fishing, and
the wind at the back, a sail.
We need an analogy for that, but also what you just said is, sorry, Eric, this makes me think. I'm writing this down here, is that we need a workshop essentially of this is what Scott said. He wants me put together essentially a questionnaire. So I could see us traveling around into missionaries or anybody really, pastors, and walking through a process live. Like if there was 50 missionaries in a room, walking them through this exercise of asking them those questions, giving them time to write things down and to dream right then and there. So what does that look like? So you and I need to talk about that privately. We want to help you get your time back. So click the link below to get your free download.